Hello, welcome to Wednesday, 12 July 2023. Good morning. This is the news on New Day. My name is Noble Crosby and we're live from our News Hub studio at Disawe Kanda, live 2 on DSTV, channel 279, also on all our social media platforms at TV3 Ghana. Coming up this morning. In the bulletin this morning, growing mixed reactions to the leaked audio recording containing a plot to remove Inspector General of Police Dr. George Akufo-Dampare from police to facilitate MPP winning the 2024 general elections, but the Interior Minister downplays the content of the audio material. Also in the bulletin, the Speaker of Parliament, Aban Babin, says Parliament will pass the anti-LGBTQ bill in record time despite the threats. Plus, visitors at the redeveloped Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park expressed concern about 500% increase in the gate fees, claiming it is not affordable. Also in the bulletin, over 420 suspected loan application operators arrested following a swoop by a joint cybersecurity committee, including IOCO. We'll bring you some international news as well, as Kenya called labeled country's worst security breach. We have details of these stories and a lot more coming to you shortly if you stay with us. Let's start with this. The Ministry of Food and Agriculture has lifted the ban imposed on the movement of ruminants and slaughtering, sale, as well as the consumption of meat and meat products in the Binduri district of the Upper East region following confirmed cases of anthrax, an acute bacterial disease transferable from animals to humans. A release from the ministry signed by the Minister Brian Champion says the situation has since been contained with no recorded case of the disease since June 14. The ministry has given the green light for the slaughter of all animals and to be done under close supervision of the veterinary and environmental health officers at designated abattoirs and slaughter slabs. The statement warned that food vendors, restaurants, owners and butchers would be arrested and prosecuted for the sale of meat and meat products which slaughtering were not supervised by the veterinary or environmental health officers. The statement concluded that vaccination of animals against the anthrax disease will, however, continue. Away from that, after being taken through a certificate of urgency, Parliament was unable to pass the Narcotics Control Amendment Bill 2023 as the House did not have the required numbers of 2/3 to pass it. Speaker Aban Babin has deferred the approval of the bill, urging the table office to make provision for it in subsequent days.
Of cannabis product surges worldwide, and states look to diversify their income streams, Ghana could do the same by regulating the economic use of the plant. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the committee, having carefully deliberated on the issue, came to the conclusion that the bill should be treated under the certificate of urgency.
This ruling should suggest to us that we need to engage our compatriots on the bench so that they come to appreciate the nuances of what we do in the House. Which is why I'm happy that after the referral, the committee has come to this conclusion that we need to pass this amendment bill through a certificate of urgency. The Speaker, the import of the certificate of urgency is just to avoid the gazette period of 14 days.
In the circumstances, I will not be able to put the question. What I can do is to defer the question on the second reading, and that could be done tomorrow. I think that table office should reschedule this, the second reading for tomorrow, where a question will be put.
Meanwhile, the Okaikwe Central MP Patrick Burmasa is appealing to the NDC MPs to rescind their decision to boycott parliamentary proceedings, noting that their absence is affecting parliamentary business.
Unfortunate situation that we are going through, but the minority is exercising their rights under the laws to go and solidarize with our colleague Honorable Kwesin, who was sworn in a week ago. I want to entreat the minority to reconsider their decision, because Honorable Kwesin is duly represented by very experienced lawyers who can fight his case for him. It's very important that we also get measured with what we do with regards to our responsibilities as members of parliament. And as duty demands of us, we ought to be in the chamber to represent the people who voted for us. Yes, you can show solidarity, but you should not forget about your responsibility as a member of parliament. So it's a right, it's a caucus decision, it's a party decision. I respect that, but I'm entreating them that there ought to be a limit to what they do, especially when we have business on the floor.
Away from that, investigative journalist Anas Anas thinks it is not fair for any non-governmental organization to think they can go into communities in Ghana and rescue children anyhow. He was reacting to BBC's Africa Eye documentary, The Night They Came for Our Children, which was previewed at TV3's Executive Theatre after its premiere on the BBC.
A BBC Africa Eye investigation has uncovered how a US-based anti-human trafficking organization, International Justice Mission (IJM), may be forcibly separating children from their families as part of the operations. In a BBC African Eye documentary titled The Night They Came for Our Children, BBC uncovered two classical instances where the multi-million donor-founded organization instigated an anti-trafficking operation with the help of the Ghana Police Service and Social Services Department. The documentary was previewed to some selected individuals, including human rights activists and journalists, at the TV3 Executive Theatre. Investigative journalist Anas Anas was in awe of the revelation.
I never forget, even when you have caught them with their hands in the soup, they still say it's not there. All we are saying is that we are watching you. When you take left, we watch. You take right, we watch. I don't think that it is fair for all NGOs or some NGOs to think that they can just go into communities and brand children anyhow.
Human rights activist and member of parliament for Medina, Francis Xavier Sosu, says the trauma some of the rescued children went through is an infringement on their human rights.
These children definitely have been violated, and I have already volunteered to assist the process of seeking justice for these children. We are exploring possibility of working with the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice and see if we can get some compensations for these children.
The Member of Parliament for Afram Plains North Constituency, Betty Nanefua Crosby, expressed disappointment.
I think the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection sees to the regulation of the activities of these NGOs. However, probably they are not very strict and stiff enough. So this revelation has come a time where we really need to keep a close eye on the activities of most of these NGOs. So it's an area that I feel my colleagues and I should look at if there's a need for us to do some amendments in it, come out with exactly, in fact, specifics, so that anybody who comes in will not take advantage of what we have stated in our act.
She said the organization should be questioned for forcefully separating children from their family members.
Now, flag bearer aspirant of the governing New Patriotic Party, Kwabena Japan, has urged delegates not to vote in members of the party responsible for the country's economic difficulties. Addressing supporters at the official launch of his campaign, he urged delegates to eschew materialism, which would cost the entire country.
We must be honest enough to admit that the Akufo-Addo government, despite chalking successes in road and health infrastructure, tourism, and of course education, it has struggled to deliver on a number of fronts. We started out saying that we're breaking dependency on the Western donor agencies. The slogan, Ghana Beyond Aid, rang from the Jubilee House with intensity and vigor. But today, we lie on a stretcher before the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, and Ghana has become, in the eyes of many, a case study of how not to do it. Our party, the MPP, therefore, cannot afford to put forward those who led us to this state and expect Ghanaians to embrace them during the 2024 election. We need a new face, a pair of clean hands, a leader to reconnect with our base and end the trust of Ghanaians. I humbly submit, I, Kwabena Ejei Ejapong, offer the hope of a fresh start for Ghana. I'm not a newcomer. I did not join our great tradition midstream after the danger abated. I have served this party right from the get-go and in many capacities. I was there when it mattered most and also when the party was at the peak of its glory. I gathered valuable experience doing so.
Now, the minority in parliament is urging the government to thoroughly investigate a leaked tape which is calling for the removal of the current IGP, Dr. George Akuffo-Dampare, before the 2024 general elections. The secret tape reveals a plot by a top police officer and a member of the new Patriotic Party to remove the IGP from office to enable the government rig the 2024 general elections. The 50 minutes long audio recording begins with the voice of a man who identifies himself as a leading member of the governing New Patriotic Party, with the second voice stating he's a commissioner of police. The long conversation was interspersed by 3 phone calls and the voice of a third male. The three discussed the 2024 general elections and how the ruling NPP cannot win should the current IGP remain. They alleged further Dr. Dampare did not help them during the just-ended by-elections in their Sinnoth constituency, and further alleging disagreements between the IGP and the military hierarchy. The Commissioner of Police in the audio warned of disaster for the MPP should the IGP remain, a phrase that was repeated more than twice in the leaked audio. In the audio, the MPP stalwart is heard asking why these revelations were not made known to the appropriate quarters, and the response was they were made known but were not believed or listened to. Well, the said audio, as expected, is ruffling feathers. Interior Minister Ambrose Derry says they are figments of imaginations and should be disregarded.
There is no plot to remove anybody. I don't know about you. We can imagine things. We have rich imaginations to go on. One thing is certain. 2024 would not be a violent election by anybody, and no one will want to thwart the will of the people.
But the minority would have none of that. Ranking member on the Interior Committee of Parliament, James Ogalga, argues the comments are treasonable.
If the audio is authenticated, then it would mean that there are people within government circles, the MPP, who have resorted to some evil machinations to subvert the will of the electorate in 2024. That, for me, is an important revelation which must be taken very seriously. It passes for treason. It is an attempt to subvert the will of the Ghanaian people.
Well, the debate is continuing as experts seek to make meaning of the sensitive topics captured in the leaked audio. Meanwhile, to protect the nation's democracy, security and safety, as well as security analysts have asked for an impartial investigation into the tape that was leaked. They also disqualify the idea of an AI-generated audio some have suggested.
That this isn't fake. As a matter of fact, it is genuine. So what I expect to be done is for an investigation to be started quickly into this. Unfortunately, what I see is certain persons, such as the Interior Minister, rubbishing it, and you know, I think that is not a good thing to do. Rather, an investigation would have to be carried out and the necessary sanctions be applied. Because mind you, we are going into an election next year, and we need to be very careful about some of these things.
There is much more than what you have heard. What you have heard, I am sure, is conducive just for the general public for now. A lot of the things that you haven't heard are of national security concern. To anybody who tells you that this is not real, I'm telling you that it is 100% real. I have seen videos.
So I think that an independent probe will reassure Ghanaians that
some remedial measures have been put in place, and therefore things will not go the way these guys actually thought of and planned.
Some other subjects this morning, and the Binduri Senior High School in the Upper East region has been temporarily closed down following students rioting. The students went on rampage over food shortage.
The rampaging students destroyed some school property. A timely intervention by the Ghana Education Service Director and other officials saved the situation. The students indicated that the school had stopped providing them with meals.
They stopped cooking for us. That was 29th May. Up to date, they haven't started cooking for us. And we have sent it to the authorities, but there is no feedback. That's the reason why we are out here, but not in class. And since we came to this school, there is nothing like house vest. We don't know the reason why they are not giving us house vest. When we go out, we don't look like our colleagues.
You are saying that it is not only the food. Yes. So are you ready to go back to school? Then we can sit around the table, discuss the issues concerned, and begin to address them. If that is the case, we would have to advise ourselves to request that you stay in your homes until we are able to address your issues for you to come back. If you are ready to go in for us to have classes, that will be very fine with us. But if not, we are deciding that you go home and then you hear from us. When the caterer resumes, where we are sure you will have your hot meal every day, then we will invite you back.
Only final year students are in school to complete their mock examinations.
Now, members of the National Food Suppliers Association have reiterated their stance to not accept part payment of the 2022 arrears owed them by the government. Now, this follows a meeting between the leadership of the association and the Minister of Education, Dr. Duchum, to discuss the indebtedness of the National Food Buffer Stock Company to the association. According to the minister, he has released a total amount of 418 million Ghana cedis to the National Food Buffer Stock Company between the periods of 2021, 2022 and 2023. But the association's members insist they are yet to receive any payment for the said amount. The minister pledged that the Ministry of Finance is in the process of releasing part of the amount outstanding this week and that government is not in the position to pay the full arrears. Spokesperson of the group, Kweku Amedume, says the association will not accept part payment due to interest accrued on loans contracted by the members of the association. Well, that's our package this morning, but there's always more news on our website, 3news.com. My name is Noble Crosby Annan.